Hello, Fahey and Sukar. I believe you'll be joining me in the comments shortly, so cheers. Strong start to the second half for United. They're already pinning West Brom back. That was a corner from Shaw, cleared away, and Fred kind of regrouping for United. Again in the chat, please let me know what you think United's goals for this season should be. My personal opinion, as I said yesterday, is City have already won the league at this point, barring a total collapse, which I don't think anybody believes is going to happen. So yeah, I mean, United, is it just, easy to say by default, oh, now you're in a top four race? I mean, it's I kind of think that the media kind of slips into those sort of default storylines that, we were saying that United were in the title race, or Liverpool or Chelsea, anybody were in the title race until they're not, and then, all of a sudden we need to turn to the next storyline headline for our website, and it's Liverpool in the top four race. But fans will certainly have their own opinions. So for me as a Liverpool fan, I mean, I certainly want to be seeing us finishing in second place, because again, my personal opinion is that Liverpool and City are the two class teams in the division, and sadly, for a variety of reasons, which I won't get into since this is the United game, everybody's fallen back from City, and as a Liverpool fan, I would be disappointed in a third or a fourth place finish. And that was interesting. You have a midfield player from West Brom kind of slip and fall into Bruno, who has gone down with an ankle injury. Forgive me for suspending my belief for a second. I don't know that he got nicked on the ankle and he went down in a heap. Not even a foul. So there's Bruno for you. Bruno is up walking gingerly, and I think he'll be okay. There is his, says Fahey. There he is. Welcome, Fahey. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on the first half, Fahey. I know you, he says it's early. I know you texted me the name of the Messiah, and I was trying to be clever there. In frustration, 2 minutes into the game, West Brom taking the lead. Of course, that's not what you want to see. I mean, as a United fan, I'm sure you're thrilled to get the equalizer in the first half. Then you can regroup and kind of game plan for the second half. Not that it would even necessarily be too much different from a strategic point of view, but just from a nerves point of view, it's a huge lift off your shoulders to just go into halftime, in a frustrated. Again, I didn't see but 5 minutes of the first half. Let me just drag this over. He says, Faye says, poor first half, but always know this team has a goal in them, and yes, much needed equalizer. You guys should be seeing the comments down here. Let me get my weatherman pointer down. So just let me know if that's legible or if I need to make that larger. It's a little small on my screen, so I'm reading from a different feed. But anyway, appreciate your comments. But yeah, as I was saying, even as a player, I can relate to, oh damn, we're really in the hole. If I'm down to West Brom going into halftime, I'm thinking this team sucks. How are we losing to this team? And we're 2 goals away from the result that we deserve and need. So getting that goal from Bruno, which again it was an awkward height for him, and he did really well with that finish. So we'll see. United definitely putting pressure on at this point. Cavani with a cute little back flick, and the Baggies are able to clear. There's Ole. Faye, let me know what setup you've got as far as how you are watching the game and watching the Beaties Beat Twitch feed. I was saying yesterday myself that I'm lucky to have 2 flat screens, so it's pretty easy for me, but obviously not everybody will have that, so I'm curious to understand everybody's setup and how I can make it better, whether you've got a laptop or a tablet or if you're just rocking it on the phone. Feel free to let me know anything that works or doesn't work in the comments. He said, rough time to call the first half with a 4-on-0 break on. Yeah, I said that at the end of the first half. I'd like to see a better view of the field, maybe like a goal, a vertical camera angle to actually see. Yeah, you're right. It looked like Martial was certainly breaking, but again, as I said, there was the 2 minutes up, and I think that the ref was just waiting for that West Brom move to end, and then once that move ended, to call it. I could see. So I don't. I can't agree or disagree fully until I see that camera angle, and I can understand how a United fan would be frustrated with that, but I thought it was fair enough. He said, got you on my phone, game on the bedroom TV while ironing. Oh, all right. Some weekend chores going on. I'm okay with the call, just sucks. Yeah, Liverpool, what was that against? Was that the City game? No, maybe it was Brighton. Anyway, it's too many to keep up with for Liverpool, but there certainly was an abominable call against Liverpool recently in a very similar situation. I think Liverpool was a bit more advanced up the field when the ref called it, but yeah. Fell there against McTominay. Fahey, why don't you let me know in the comments what you think about United's expectations through the season. Are you okay with finishing top 4? And, you can complicate it as well. You could say, I'm fine with top 4. If you're not first, you're last type of thing, plus a Champions League run. And I didn't even mean that to rub it in. I forgot that United was out of the Champions League. But, maybe you say Europa League champions. Put another fake trophy in the cabinet. West Brom getting a bit of joy. And they're attacking third. They served the ball in, and United was able to clear it. But good to see West Brom providing a little bit of balance back in the opposite direction, because this really has been a lot of one-way traffic, as you would expect from United. Fahey says, on behalf of United, second should be the minimum. I just don't see City dropping many points. Europa play the kids. I'll take an FA Cup run too. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't put a whole lot of stock in the Europa League, so for the fans with teams in it, I could equally see, not caring about it at all, or, hey, we're in this competition, let's go for it. But for me, the two competitions that I really only pay attention to are the Premier League and the Champions League. I mean, FA Cup and the Carling Cup, or whatever it's called. They're not really, don't get my juices flowing. No word of a lie, not that Liverpool has really made many cup runs, which doesn't bother me in the slightest. But even if Liverpool were to win one of those, I mean, it's not something, unless you're a Brighton or a team like that. I mean, winning the FA Cup, I always say, is not a competition that's going to keep you your job. If there are other problems, a la like a Jose. I think the last time this conversation came up was Jose at Man United with Fahey will remember that discussion. Simply, if you're Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, if you're not winning the league, then your fans are going to be disappointed with that. And obviously that's the goal. And listen, I'm not like a super binary person either, that, if you don't win the league, you're a failure or whatever. I think everything is a lot more nuanced than that. But my point is, again, unless you're a Brighton or a Wigan back in the day, I think winning the cup competition is not, it's not your bread and butter, and it's not how you're going to be judged as far as a manager. Faye's saying it's a cup you can focus on if you're struggling in the league. I don't see three teams better to drop them out of top four. Yeah, I mean, that's another interesting talking point. At this stage, and granted, seasons change, but with that said, I do feel very strongly about my quote-unquote top four at the moment. I think for sure the top four will be City, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, in that order. The order I'm not so concerned with, but I mean, I don't even know how many points off Arsenal is. Tottenham, I mean, not a Jose fan. Oh, and Maguire goes down in the box. He's appealing for a penalty. And it looks like it's being given. It is being given the West Brom up in arms. I got to see a replay on this, but I'm going to call BS on this foul. And Maguire is definitely offside. So it's going to come back. We're not even going to be able to judge the foul. Looks like Maguire had an arm on him by this number 6. He's grabbing him. I will say, and this may seem convenient, but I will say that is the exact line in the sand that I will draw as far as contact. Well, not even contact in the box is a very general term. Um, but yeah, Faye said going to be offside, so yeah, he knows it's coming back. But I think that's a very interesting study case right there for you and your friends if you want to debate whether that's a foul or not. Because yes, he's pulling him back, and listen, I'm a fan of penalizing behavior like this, pulling people back. I mean, that's, to quote my Russian coach back in the day, George, this is stuff not from soccer. So yeah, I mean, that's, you're trying to cheat a little bit, and there's a little bit of leeway I can afford you, but and listen, don't give me, in this day and age, in 2020, that's a penalty, because you're not telling me anything. You're not telling me your opinion. You're really just a sheep at that point, saying, oh, well, refs are giving it, so why even argue? No, I mean, we should argue, and again, I'll broaden this out a bit more, that he's got to be giving this offside. That we have to, as fans, we've got to fight against VAR. I'm surprised, actually. I kind of sarcastically on Twitter say we should start, well, really not sarcastically at all, just sarcastically from the premise that I know it's not going to happen, but they're saying decision, no penalty, no foul by Ajayi, but he's clearly offside. You may say the West Brom defender had his arm out, which kind of might keep Maguire's leg onside, but that would be a false statement because your arms, I think, up to your, what are they saying, your shoulder line or your jersey line at this point, is what keeps you on, is the cutoff point. So anyway, to finish up my point on, don't give me, that's a penalty in 2021. No, I mean, give me your actual opinion. And what I was saying is, I would love for fans across the world to sign a petition and say, hey, VAR is ruining the sport. I mean, football, it's a cliche, but everybody always says football is nothing without fans. Obviously we're customers too, and we pay a lot of the bills for these clubs. So, we should certainly have a say in if we feel like our sport is being ruined, which that would be my opinion regarding VAR. But in any case, I do think that was a very interesting little snapshot of what's a foul, what's not. And I'm actually quite surprised that that they brought it back for not a foul. I'll give Craig Paulson a little pat on the back for that, because I think that is, actually a bold claim, because again, I do sort of expect that, wow, it is absolutely pouring there. Martial off, Greenwood on. Any United fans in the chat, let me know what your opinion on who your ideal attacking line is or should be. It seems like Cavani's been playing well and deserves a start. For a while, he was, riding the bench a little bit more than he probably should have. I think Solskjaer kind of sticking with his guys, and I appreciate loyalty from managers as well. So yeah, I think, and again, I won't lie, I don't watch United week in, week out enough to say that, they've really been playing with Cavani and Rashford and Martial, it seems like. But anyway, get in the comments, let me know if you'd like to see more Greenwood, what's going on there, because towards the tail end of last season, when this run of United's, this uptick, this progression had started, Greenwood seemed to be scoring like week in, week out. Now, granted, maybe that was just a phase, and maybe he caught fire, and that was 7 months ago at this point. But yeah, it's certainly a player that United fans have reason to be excited about, and it kind of seems like United every maybe 3 to 4 years is coming out with like the next young hot striker. Might be going back a little bit too far in this, but even back to like the Danny Welbeck days, and then Rashford came out, and it's funny too because it sort of reminds me of like America's talent factory as far as what you had Juan Agudelo, and then you had Julian Green, and you just get these players that you've never heard of. They're 18 years old. They score a couple goals. People start to doubt them. He can't keep it up. He keeps it up a little bit more. Then all of a sudden, you get an 18-year-old starting for the U.S. national team, or Man United or the English national team. And yeah, it's tough because I think it's difficult. It's difficult as a young player to be hyped up so much, and to maintain that, and obviously that puts a whole lot of pressure on you when you either have a price tag to live up to, or the nation's hope on your shoulders, that sort of thing. And it can go one way or another, but a lot of times it really, I think, dampens a player's progress to put so much expectations on his shoulders. Faye says Martial has been out of form for quite some time now, but like having on him or Greenwood or Rash being able to rotate around since they have similar skill sets. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll go with that. I wonder also, I'm just thinking about, Greenwood. I just went a little Gary Neville there. Greenwood had a nice open look and probably a good finish, just had a West Brom body in the way. Let me know in the comments how you like that, Gary Neville. But yeah, Faye saying Cavani deserves his starts. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely been a good side, and that's where I was going with this. Is who do you think has had the best? I know we're already past the January transfer window, but who do you think has I was going to basically say, however you want to put it, won the transfer window or improved their team the most since last season? I mean, that can be a little more nuanced and tricky, just because you can make absolutely zero signings, and you can have Liverpool from 16-17 to 17-18, a team that's really like floundering, and then and then a team that makes the Champions League final without really making the transfer moves. But anyway, I think United has done quite well. Ooh, shot from outside. We're into the 70th minute now. It's crept up on me a bit. Again, United. Not that I necessarily like to relate or compare the two teams, my team and Fahey's team. Liverpool and United, but I can sort of relate to this. You're dominating possession, as you should, as West Brom is allowing you to. I'm not gonna say, credit to West Brom for being organized. Having watched this game, yeah, they've done fine, but I feel like that's just a default throwaway comment that you'll probably get on NBC later. Again, that's completely playing the result as well. If they draw the game 1-1, you're going to compliment them. If United get a 90th minute winner, then you're not. When West Brom on the break here, that was a hugely wasted chance. Maitland-Niles out on the left, he had a bunch of space, and it was basically a 3v1.5. Maybe 2.5 versus 1.5. But anyway, there was a whole lot of room for Maitland-Niles to just flick the ball into, and he flicked it in not the best direction, and De Gea was able to come collect it. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. I forget where. As far as West Brom's, Fahey's wiping sweat from his forehead. He said, lucky on that counter. So yeah, as I was saying, United certainly controlling the ball and I think playing pretty well. I'll give that to them. But Fahey's not going to be pleased if you don't come away with the win here. So they're going to need to be able to find something, some lucky bounce or some moment of genius or whatever they call it. Liverpool fans would be saying like, oh, we need that Coutinho player. We need that Shaqiri. You always throw out like the small creative player to say, oh, he's the one that would unlock this game. But yeah, sometimes you're not doing anything wrong. It's just players get mentally fatigued and it just doesn't happen for you some days. I haven't really heard a lot of talk about the Euros just yet. That might even be one step ahead. Who knows if they'll even still go on. I'm thinking they will. I've been hearing they will. But in terms of build-up, we really are only 3-4 months away from an exciting major tournament. And I'm wondering what people's thoughts are in terms of Bruno gets the ball, tries to thread through Cavani, but it's picked out by West Brom, and they really seem like they're somewhat interested in possessing the ball. It's not just break up their attack and hack it away. So credit to Big Sam on that. I do think that he's probably telling them, find feet and get the ball forward and counterattack, as opposed to like the West Brom and Bolton like bullying days of the past. De Gea, awful clearance right to West Brom, and now they're pinning United in a bit. If I'm United, I'm not even going to check with you guys on this one. If I'm United, I would just say it. I'm dropping De Gea for Henderson. I mean, I was very impressed with Henderson at Sheffield United last season. Even if he's not quite ready, trust me, he's good enough to be given that faith. He's on the uptick, and West Brom almost scored a goal that was going to be taken back anyway. Maguire was bullied over, and then the player was in on De Gea and couldn't find the net anyway. But yeah, I would certainly go with Henderson. I might be making this up, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty good with the ball at his feet, as is a requirement for keepers these days. And listen, if you're a United fan, you want to make the argument that De Gea is better at Henderson at this moment, be my guest. I would tend not to agree with you, but even if he is slightly better, he's on the downtick. Sure, he's captained United, but he is not a leader in my book. He's, again, a lot of people say he's won a lot of things, and that shows his experience or whatever. But and listen, De Gea has been a great keeper, one of the best keepers in Premier League history. I won't dispute that, but he's also been, in terms of imprint on a team, while he's come up huge in individual performances in certain games, I just think that he's been a bit of a passenger in terms of the development of a team. And it's sort of that, this is definitely harsh, but I would say when Liverpool's defense was struggling, I was a Martin Skrtel fan, and then in 2014 or 2015 came around, and I sort of checked myself, and I was like, Liverpool's defense at the time, we were giving up a lot of goals off of corners, and it was like, what the hell is going on? We had coaches come, coaches go, and we still had the same problems, and he would have different defensive partnerships. And then one day it hit me, I'm like, maybe Skrtel is the problem, because we've had these consistent issues, and the only consistent element to this defense has been Martin Skrtel, which again, that's by no means conclusive evidence, but it was just funny to sort of think that way. And so anyway, I'm sort of levying that against De Gea, that sometimes you can stay at a club so long that it just goes stale. Your motivations, you may not necessarily agree with the board. Obviously, a lot of people have things against the United board or the managers that he's had to sort of waste away under the Van Gaal and Mourinho days. And so in a way, I kind of wouldn't blame him in sort of really being frustrated. But one thing I do know is that although he's had a little renaissance in the past 10 months or so, those 2 years from Euro 2018 to much of, all through to 2020, he was atrocious. And anyway, back to my point of, I would just give Henderson a run, because I do think that that's a situation where if you don't harness his player development and his eagerness and all of that, you could lose him. And I think a lot of people, United fans and otherwise, would tell you that he could be, again, this is said very hastily a lot of the times, but he could be your goalkeeper for 10 years. So I would just monitor that situation, because I even thought this summer Henderson's stock was so high coming off of the Sheffield United season that I think he was linked with Chelsea since they were pissed at Kepa. And if I were him, whether he loves the club or not, maybe that's the reason that he's still there. Doing a lot of speculating right now, but yeah, I mean, if I'm the player and Chelsea comes knocking, I mean, that's a huge opportunity, and certainly a goalkeeper. It's not a midfielder. It's not, a wing back. It's not a striker. It's not a position that you rotate. The only time that you use a goalkeeper is if he gets injured. So it's totally a once in a blue moon position. And I would probably be pretty pissed if I were Dean Henderson. Catching up to some of the comments, we've got Fahey's top 4 is City, United, Leicester, Chelsea / Liverpool. So he's hanging on the fence there. And you either didn't follow the directions, or I'm going to accuse you of thinking that it's going to be Liverpool, but listing Chelsea / Liverpool in that, hey, Scotty, your boys might finish outside the top 4, and I'm having none of that. I will say that Fahey and I have a personal wager of an undisclosed amount of who will finish higher this season, United or Liverpool. So we shall see how that pans out. That will be interesting. It's been a little while since, here's a little fisticuffs. Donnie Vanderbeek, excited to be on the field for once, and he's pushing number 12 or whatever. I don't know, the West Brom players. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a little bit since you could even suggest that Liverpool would finish, or one team would finish above the other, because it's been pretty clear, really, I would say ever since 2017, or whatever it was. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Liverpool and United, I loathe to say it, but are kind of on level playing fields, at least in terms of performance. I would argue Liverpool's a far better team, but there's not really much evidence I can use to refute that at this point. As for transfer, this is Fahey. As for transfer, I guess it's got to be a mid-table or something. I feel like the big clubs didn't go crazy in the summer or aren't hitting the highs they thought. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, well, Liverpool is out because we didn't make any signings. I mean, United signed Cavani. I think that was good business. Honestly, when United did that business, I wasn't a Cavani hater, but for a player that was a free agent for that long, I mean, they waited pretty late in the summer window to actually get it done. I thought that was going to be I'm trying to think of who is a good example there. I don't know. Juventus make a lot of these signings, like the free signing that, like, it's good to get this name in, but, you're going to pay them a lot of wages and they're a shell of a player they used to be. But, no, I mean, couldn't be more off than that. Cavani not only has been very good for United this season, he's been a difference maker. So, yeah, I mean, here's an interesting question I have for you. Who is United's player of the season if I take away Bruno? I'm curious to see what United fans would say to that. And I'll try to come back to who I think the best off-season was, because I'll have to think about that. Before the season, you think Chelsea won the summer. I wouldn't, yeah, and then he said, when I was talking about De Gea, that he agrees that he wouldn't say that he's a leader either. So, that's interesting. Appreciate the honesty. Yeah, I mean, obviously, can't be disputed. Chelsea won the off-season if you're playing Football Manager or FIFA. And listen, I still think that this happens sometimes, that teams will make signings that don't quite hit it off right away, but then when you look back, then you think, oh, well, actually that guy was a pretty good signing, and so, I'm not ready. Oh, what a ball in by West Brom into number 17. I'm not going to try his name, but the goal scorer of the first goal. Played ball out wide, a lot of space. Granted, it was a switch, but a lot of space out there on the right. Beautiful ball in, right? In NFL terms, it was right where the defensive back, aka Victor Lindelof, couldn't find it, and right in for the striker, and the striker really needs to bury that. But alas, we are going into the 88th minute, and Mason Greenwood double step over, and a nice move, but Bruno was running towards him, which didn't exactly help the move. So anyway, Fahey says, Cavani felt like a panic buy, and I thought other needs should have been addressed, but I am very happy with him. Yeah, I agree with you, as I kind of alluded to. Yeah, I mean, I think that's another interesting thing, too, is I think fans will say that a lot of times, that, oh, why are you going and buying Cavani when we need, like a center back or something like that. And again, this is one of my favorite, like, unique opinions that I have, because I don't really hear people in the media talk about this really ever. But I will go back to like the 2017 season of Liverpool when we signed Salah, and we still had defensive problems, but this is when we had the whole Liverpool Greenwood is definitely making shit happen right now. Went down to the byline, and it really looked like something was going to happen there. Fires the ball across and just couldn't get anyone on the end of it. Not because it was a bad ball, but just because the run wasn't made. And anyway, on Twitter, people were saying Liverpool, if they were a car, they'd show like Ferrari at the front and then like a clunker at the back. And, it was true. We still definitely needed things addressed at the back. This is like the Lovren and Matip days, and Klavan. And and that was true. But my point is sometimes managers will load up where you don't necessarily agree with. Like, would we have had a potent offense that year with Coutinho and Firmino and Mane, and I think Sturridge was even around in those days? Yeah, and a lot of Liverpool fans probably would have been happy with that, because again, this was like a Klopp team attacking, and we probably would have been fine. But I think when you add a player like Salah, I mean, I'm not even going to say, signing Mo Salah was genius, because nobody on earth ever thought that Salah would be as great as he is. But when you overload the attack, you make extra sure that attacking is not going to be a problem. And he did that because he wasn't able to find a center back target that he wanted or knew that we could get. So anyway, I bring that up because I think that's what Chelsea did this season. I mean, I think they went a little too cuckoo, and now they have like 7 players for 3 to 5 positions. Like really good players that should be starting really like on any team. And so that definitely contributed to Frank's problems, juggling all those things. You have to give everybody a chance, and then when it's still not working, you look like you don't know what you're doing. Not that I have any sympathy for Lampard, but I think that contributed to the pressure on his job. And anyway, again, I think that perhaps it's possible we'll look back and say, hey, Chelsea that maybe they didn't win the transfer window immediately, but they did ultimately because they signed Havertz and Ziyech and those types of guys. I mean, I think another interesting example of that is when Tottenham sold Bale and then they signed like 11 players. And I think famously or infamously, however you want to put it, that that's sort of an LOL situation that, they really didn't deal with that very well. Shot from the outside from Bruno is saved, and we're down to 2.5 out of the 5 minutes of stoppage. And 5 minutes, maybe I'll have to put up a like a +5 or something in a future game. But anyway, I was saying that when Spurs sold Bale, they bought a bunch of players, and immediately the coverage was that they were bad buys. And I think probably a lot of them were. But I do remember there was like a look back maybe 3 or 4 years on and said like, at first we thought that like they bought like Vlad Chiriches and the Toulouse midfielder, I think, that then they Capoue, like players like that, and yeah, those guys were blatant failures. But then you have players like Lamela, who the Roma boys will probably tell you that he's a failure because he was an amazing player over at Roma. But yeah, I mean, I think you look at Lamela's Premier League career, and while he didn't hit the heights he was supposed to, I still think you keep a player for this long, he's serviceable, and even just from like a depreciation standpoint, that you get a player for 7 years or whatever, and that's pretty damn good. So things can change as far as the transfer window are concerned. And we're into the final minute of the match. Harry Maguire's got the ball, and he cuts back and gives it to Bruno, who's 2 yards away. Out to Shaw, middle to Bruno. Nothing doing. Crossed in. Oh! And it's hit the post from Slabby. Fahey is getting back up off the floor after he fall off his couch. I'm sure that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. And that's bitterly disappointing if you're a United fan. There's not a chance that he should have converted. He was a long way out, but to hit the post with seconds to go, he is doing the classic FIFA get on the ground and rue the missed opportunity. Oh, and the keeper does tip it onto the post. So that's an important save. Johnstone, I think his name is. Just came to me, I think he was a United keeper, if I'm right. Yep, Sam Johnstone. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, Fahey said he fell off his bed, not the couch. And I think he just woke up the roommate. I think he was a United keeper, yeah. So, look at that. I knew I could read Fahey's reaction from 40 miles away. So that brings United into second place. They go above Leicester on goal difference. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a United fan, are you pumped about this result? Certainly not. But listen, coming from a Liverpool fan who's just slipping down the table, we will pull it back between now and the end of the season, Liverpool. But, if I'm United, I'm pretty happy. It goes without saying, yeah, you'd love to be 2 points further forward. But listen, you're in second place. And going forward in time, going into the future. I mean, I think if you're a United fan, you're confident with your team, and hopefully you'll avoid slips like this going forward. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you're backing your team to throw second place away, sort of thing. I have my own opinions on that, but I think, you know, if this were Liverpool, I would be thinking just that. I'm pissed that we couldn't win this game, but all in all, it could be worse. We could be in third or fourth place, replaying the Fernandez volley. That's a very unique goal. That's an awkward one. I can't say I've seen that one too recently. And yeah, it's all just working for him at this point. All right. I'm going to call it quits, I think, unless we've got any last minute comments. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for tuning in. Catch me on wherever you'd like. Of course, here I'm on Twitch. These videos will be archived and automatically uploaded to my YouTube page, which you'll have to click a link. As of right now, I don't have youtube.com/BDsBeat, but I think all other platforms are /BDsBeat, including Instagram, Twitter, Twitch.tv, and yeah, that's about it. Once again, I appreciate anybody that ever tunes in. Please continue to let me know what you think is working on my channel, what's not working, and any extra features that you'd like to see, and anything you'd like to talk about. If you're a fan of United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, I'd love to chat with you. So enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day, and enjoy the day off tomorrow if you have that luxury. So, all right, everybody, cheers.